disability, that's something that you live with, but that's something that should not define you. You should be defined by what your hopes are, what things you like to happen in your life, and the way you are as a person. That's what should define you. I'm not in a nursing home. I'm having my own house, and I'm able to, have friends and just things to look forward to. Yeah, and accomplishing things and making things happen.
I want to be able to say, when I say I want to be able to say, I'm going to my apartment. I'm actually not going back to RHA. I'm going home.
This is the journey of Sherry Durant, who receives services from RHA Howe in Greensboro, North Carolina. It is also the story of RHA Howe's steps towards transformation and Seeing is Believing, a systems change effort funded by the North Carolina Council on Developmental Disabilities.
Well, one of the goals that we have as we set forth is to really help people build lives. With Howe's and then RHA Howe's, we have developed a very institutional model that has worked well. It's worked well through the years and it has really done some good things. But as you're looking at future development for the individuals, it has to come from things that they hope to achieve. So as folks kind of wander into my office and tell me, Ed, I want a better life and it's your job to get it for me, that really comes off across me. It's like, okay, well, we need to get you a better life. We need to figure this out. I think the MFP has kind of given the roots to make the possibility.
And make sure and to have a good circle now while she's here to get a good network of support and her friends and family to be there when she makes the transition.
Sherry's journey started by calling together the people in her life who are important to her, those who are paid to provide services, as well as her friends. This circle gathers together monthly as Sherry is diligently working on her move.
But a couple of things that we want is we want to own a home. Sherry would like to own her own home, which is something that we'll be looking at, but she's willing to rent for a little while we get that, which leads us back to this.
Sherry has recently completed treatments for cancer. While fighting her illness slowed her down for a while, it has not in any way affected her determination to move into her own place.
I got cancer. And it was last 4th of July. Things I did before I got cancer are a little bit tougher to do now. But not by any means is it a death sentence. You can live with it. And I'm living proof that you can live with it. Being in a facility is like being dead. With me moving out on my own, I feel like I'm coming back to life. Because for 19 years, it's like I've been just a body. And it's awful when you your body. You have nothing to look forward to. So I'm really excited about moving out because I know that now I can start to live again. Eating and working hard. Now I can handle the working hard. But the waiting is not one of my strong suits.
As part of building her circle, Sherry has reconnected with her church, Christ United Methodist Church. She has been enjoying Sunday services, reconnecting with friends, and has used space at the church to host circle meetings.
Being reconnected with my church, it's like having an old, comfortable pair of slippers. I mean, you just feel, you just know that that's where you're supposed to be. I'm getting a lot of help from my church. They said that they help me with furniture and that kind of thing. And
Sherry is on the list for a housing voucher, which should become available in October. She has identified potential apartments that are affordable and meet her needs, and has been out looking.
as long as I'm near someplace that I can get coffee. And someplace that I can go shopping.
But we can get a license for two, but two don't have to live there. We could use a second for sleep staff, or if we're going to do a shared living, which it sounds like is what we're moving towards, is somebody that would share the expenses and they'd have the other room. They would not be necessarily, they could have disabilities, but they wouldn't necessarily have disabilities.
Seeing is Believing is a project funded by the North Carolina Council on Developmental Disabilities. Through this funding, 4 organizations in North Carolina have been taking the journey to transform from intermediate care facilities to individualized supports. RHA HAL is one of those organizations.
I think with Seeing is Believing, it's given us a framework and it's challenged our perceptions. I think, we have a mindset, and a lot of people do, that people with disabilities are people that, in a sense, are helpless, and it's our job to help them. But with Seeing is Believing, we've seen that people can do more than we thought. They can pursue their dreams. We can assist them, but it's not our job to direct them. Seeing is Believing has also shown me how certain funding sources work that I didn't know about as far as the technical end. And it's given a lot of us a group in which to bounce ideas back and forth and find out what's going to work, what's worked for other people, and what can work for us.
Interesting that everything that we want to do is very natural. It starts from progression of everything from beyond academics to choosing where you want to live and what you want to do with your life. And then you contrast that with ICFMR, which is you have basically no choice because the way the standards are set up that everybody really essentially needs a guardian. If you don't have one, you better darn well get one. Essentially, you're taking that model where there is no choice at all. I mean, there isn't. Essentially, there's little choices here and there of what I get to eat or what my leisure time is, but honestly, the big choices in life, things that really matter, they're not there. It's not intertwined.
Part of SIB is looking at transitions. And we went from probably 3 years ago from a very institutional mindset of, no, we're not doing that. We're here to love and take care of them and never let them out of our sight and to always be there for them, to people now saying, maybe this will work for this person and maybe it will work for some other people. And I think that transitioning mindsets, and particularly of a company this large and this old, with this set institutional patterns as we have, is an amazing transformation.
Change in the margins, but to make dramatic change, to really move along, we really need to step out and help providers change, decide to change, and then invest in that change.
I'm engaged in a 5-year study on organizational change throughout the country, and as part of that, I've had the opportunity to visit and observe and study some of the learning communities that are taking place across the country in different states, including Maryland and New York State and the state of North Carolina. And what I've found across those is that it's real challenging, long-term, long-haul work to work for the sort of organizational change that's real foundational change within organizations rather than just the type of surface change. And to get that foundational change takes, at least several years. It takes ongoing work after that. It's an investment to ensure that agencies and organizations lay a good foundation for doing person-centered, individualized work and promoting real control and self-direction for people with disabilities.
Based upon learning and the momentum that has been created, other people have started to come forward to begin their own journey.
One thing with Tyrone is we now have a face of somebody who successfully has done that, where his disabilities are obvious. The initial conversations with staff, parents, and everybody involved was I was nuts. And I think very accusatory that I'm trying to put people out there on their own, where they're going to starve to death, and to the point now that people are coming to meetings. They're talking about it. People aren't running away from me as we're talking about people moving to the community. Ursula lives over at one of our other group homes, and she came into my office probably 2-3 months ago, and she just looked at me and she said, "Ed?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." And she said, "I can do everything that Sherry can." I said, "I think you can." I said, "Nobody ever said you couldn't." She said, "It's time for me to move out on my own too then." It's like, "Yes, ma'am." I said, we will get working with you. I said, "We will get that figured out." She said, "Okay." And Ursula, if you had known Ursula 2 years before, would never have had that conversation. Ursula's main goal in life was to please. She was very quiet, very meek and mild, and to see her coming into my office saying, "You're going to do this, and this is what I need you to do. Is I need to be able to do this," is an amazing transformation. If you saw Ursula now and Ursula then, it was just simply amazing.
The work that the DD Council is doing in North Carolina by funding the Seeing is Believing Coalition is a model for other states and other DD Councils throughout the country.
The last word.
I'm finally driving this train. I'm the one to set